always be our great Virginia.
And now, a message from the Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Ralph Northam.
My fellow Virginians, I come before you today to let you know that I know I've made some mistakes. There were some mistakes made during my campaign and definitely during my administration's handling of this mess. However, part of the blame has to be on my opposition. I know this because I hear people asking how my opponents failed to find this yearbook photo. Well, simply put, these are Virginia Republicans. They don't know how to read a book. So it's really not fair if even the Republicans failed to catch something that I did during my medical school days. It's also unfair to say that the Commonwealth's governor and Attorney General are being asked to resign because they wore blackface when the President of the United States covers his face in Cheeto dust on a daily basis and can still serve as president. Now, I know that this scandal has turned the clock back on our old Dominion. Virginia, part of the Old South, seems to have shown hints of its old self. Go figure. A photo of someone in blackface on my yearbook page emerges on the first day of Black History Month. I try to tie it into the next day, Groundhog Day. I came out that morning, saw my shadow, and decided to finish the remainder of my term. I know a lot of this stems from my support for women's rights, namely the right of a woman to get an abortion. My critics now ironically calling me to abort my term. A lot of these old Southerners, appalled by my stance on abortion, yet somehow also appalled by blackface and a Klan robe. Finally, an issue in the South where abortion is not the biggest scandal that could be attached to a governor. And it is difficult when even West Virginia looks at you and thinks, what a bunch of backward rednecks. Now the South has made some progress. For example, we were outraged by black faces before it was cool, before all of these young, out-of-state liberal transplants became outraged by them. However, we know how to plan ahead for such instances. Hence, in Virginia, a governor can only serve one term, because there's a pretty good chance that any governor in this state will have at one point been photographed in blackface or a Klan robe. I really want to take the time to apologize to some people. First, I want to apologize to my public relations team. Sure, they could easily spin the fact that I retracted saying I was in that yearbook photo. However, I recognize that when I talked about dressing up as Michael Jackson for a dance contest, my entire public relations team suddenly, all at once, had a mass aneurysm. I know, what was I thinking? Blackface? That is so 1915. I know that is not what all of the hip and cool kids were doing in the 1980s. Ironically enough, if Michael Jackson had turned white about a decade earlier, my Michael Jackson impression really would not be that big a deal. And most important of all, I want to apologize to the citizens of this great Commonwealth, especially all Children's Party face painters in Virginia who are now out of a job.
Governor, your dry cleaner called. They said your white, suit is ready to be picked up.
Megan, I told you not to bother me about that until after I'm finished this statement.